You're listening to Big World Network.
Pathological Passion, written by Jared and Lisa Kwan, read by Wendy Herman. Episode 7. Just before Elise exited the elevator, she decided to put on a face of confidence, as she had done on previous disappointing moments in her life. Her first few steps were so quick that she almost ran over Jenny, who was headed for the elevator. "Hey, where were you?" Elise asked with a confused look on her face. "Sorry about that. It took longer than I thought to get my department heads to give up the funding we needed. No worries, though. We should have everything we need," Jenny said. "I'm going to get tested now." "Sounds good. I will meet up with you later," she replied. Then she proceeded to her office, locking the door behind her as she entered. "Jarvis, are the results back from my test yet?" Elise asked. She put her hands on her desk and leaned over it, hoping for good news. "Apparently you are infected," Jarvis replied. "What is your next course of action?" "We need to figure out how to clear this up," she replied. Then she slid her hand across her desk and opened the directory. Within moments, the video conference screen had a picture of both Tim and lead project tech Sandra in front of her. "Sandra, give it to me straight. How do we remove the indigo from people?" Elise said. "What?" Sandra asked. "Is that what the health screenings are about?" "Whoa, is that true?" Tim interjected. "Listen, we don't have time for this. I set up the health screening as a precaution, but there are gobs of people infected with indigo, apparently," Elise said. "What do we do to get this cleaned up?" "I don't understand. The spill happened in a Layer 3 sealed environment. I mean, independent ventilation in the works. The CDC wishes they had a setup like we do," Sandra said. "I can vouch for that. I don't know how it could have broken containment," Tim said, frantically waving his hands back and forth. "Look, I don't know how it escaped, but it did, and we need to get it out of people," Elise said. "How do you know it is in people?" Sandra asked. "What are you testing for?" "We took a virtual model of the project chemical and started looking for the presence of it in the bloodstream," Elise explained. She could feel a headache building. "Good news, then. We don't have to do anything," Sandra said. "Project Indigo has to be re-administered over time. We did that so if someone had a bad reaction, it would naturally flush from the system." "Okay, the leak happened just over a week ago. Would a mandatory quarantine for 24 hours for observation work at this point?" Elise asked. "That would do it. We can retest after 24 hours to verify that it is naturally flushing from their systems," Sandra said. "The best part is indigo is contained and cannot spread like an infection." "Sounds like a good plan, then. Do you need me to start making arrangements for accommodations?" Tim asked. "That would be good. And Sandra, get samples and interview people so we have something to salvage from this nightmare," Elise said. "You bet. I'm on it," Sandra said. "Good. I will check in later with both of you." Then the screens went black. Elise walked over to the large window in her office. "Jarvis, 100%, she said. Instantly, the window tinted to a pitch black. "Bring up the schematics of where indigo was spilled." "That's another very good question. How did it escape?" she thought to herself. "Listen, Quinn, for the 10th time, I have no idea what this is or how either of us are infected," Eric said, looking across the conference table. "For the 10th time, I don't believe you," Quinn said. "I knew you had it out for me as soon as we brought you on. I bet you are a spy for the bigwigs, aren't you?" Eric let his head rest against the cold wood-grain tabletop. He decided to make a dramatic show of it by lifting his head slightly, then letting it thump down. He slowly looked up at Quinn and glanced around at the now 12 people in the room. "You know, it really doesn't matter. After today's performance, I highly doubt you will be seeing much of me at all," Eric said. A knock on the conference room door caught everyone's attention. The door opened and Tim walked in. "Ladies and gentlemen, I have to apologize for the inconvenience. I am sure you have been told you are under a mandatory 24-hour quarantine. You all have been infected with a mild chemical variant of the common cold. The good news is you are not contagious. However, for legal reasons and your own safety, we have to observe you overnight. Of course you will be compensated and will be released in the morning, Tim said confidently. He ignored the two hands that were now raised. Under the circumstances, we have been able to prepare some fabulous accommodations on the VIP guest floor. How did we get infected? Quinn asked as he glared at Eric. At this time, the details are not important. Be assured that we have taken the necessary measures to correct the issue, Tim said. If you would be so kind as to follow me to your lodgings for the night. Everyone stood up and began to follow behind Tim as he exited the room. Eric noticed that there were several guards present in the escort. Team 6 on the move, a guard could be heard saying. I apologize, sir, but why all the guards? Eric asked. They are a necessary formality due to procedure, Tim replied loud enough for everyone to hear. As they turned the corner to the elevator bank, they noticed that there were 3 elevators being held for just them by security personnel. Eric couldn't help but feel a little nervous as 3 security people entered the elevator with him. The safeties are on, right? Eric nervously asked. It didn't help that all 3 of the security people let out a laugh at the same time. Sir, it's okay. Let me tell you a little secret. The guns aren't even loaded, the older guard next to him whispered. But I wouldn't worry about it. You're going to Club Med. What's that supposed to mean? Eric asked himself. The elevator doors opened. Team 6 has arrived, the guard said into his comm. Eric was unprepared for what he was walking into. Sure enough, as advertised, the entire floor was dedicated to relaxing and escaping. There was a large swimming pool, several hot tubs, and a man-made beach, all adorned with a Caribbean decor. As he stepped forward, he was greeted by a hostess in sunny weather beach attire. Mr. Winters, you are assigned to cabin 24. Here is your mandatory wristband. Your room will only open with this in a 6-inch proximity, the hostess said as she handed him a narrow white wristband. Everything for the next 24 hours is paid for. There was a required debriefing, and you will be notified of that by your wristband. Please relax and have fun. I don't have any swim trunks, Eric said, glancing around at the people already frolicking about. No worries, Mr. Winters. There is a wardrobe available in your room with clothes in your size, the hostess replied. Is everyone here infected? He asked with a bit of hesitation. No, sir, there are several people here that are not. However, we have been notified that it is not contagious in any way, the hostess replied. Which way to my room? He asked politely. Put your wristband on, touch any of the wall panels, and it will guide you to whatever destination you need, she replied. Is there anything else I can assist you with? No, thank you, Eric said. He cautiously put on the wristband, and instantly it greeted him. Welcome, Mr. Winters. He walked over to the control panel and gently touched it with his finger. Where would you like to go? The computer asked in a friendly male voice. To my cabin, Eric responded. Very good. However, can I recommend catching a bite to eat first at one of our restaurants or ordering room service? Your readings indicate that you must be starving, the voice replied. No, that is all right. Please show me my cabin, Eric answered, wondering about what readings the wristband was getting. Thank you. Please follow the yellow arrows, the computer answered. Soon he found himself collapsing on the large king-size bed in his designated cabin. He felt exhausted as he let his eyes close.
You're listening to Big World Network.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.